Are there days that you feel completely depleted in terms of your mental energy? Do you struggle to find those moments of inspiration? It is just normal in these kind of situations that we are living that we perceive ourselves with a very low mental energy, and we have been overwhelmed by the kind of stimuli, news, and all of the things that are happening outside. So it is not strange to feel in this way, but what can we do to start boosting our creativity and get out from this stuck situation? The more we obsess with demanding creativity at certain moments of our lives, or attach too much effort to solving a problem, the harder it will be for your brain to access those states. Several times you will find that creativity, sweet spot, or solution simply by getting out to give a short walk, exercise, watch a movie, listen to music, or being in contact with your family. What your brain needs are those moments of leisure, distraction, and novelty to recharge and give you creative ideas. So, our brain is looking for those spaces to recover, to replenish, to get out of that toxicity that we have been accumulated in spite of not being over and over stimulating ourselves with the kind of information that we are receiving. We are still listening to it from someone, we are still receiving those messages, and we are still having a lot of notifications and things that are distracting and overwhelming our minds and, of course, the brain. And that's why when we put more pressure to our brains, it is not the way so that you can spark creativity. But when you get out, when you are in contact with nature, when you are doing something else, you are letting your brain to recover that mental energy, recharge, and get inspired by simply changing the chemistry, changing the neurotransmitters that you are releasing, and allowing yourself a rest. This inspiring thought and the topic comes from the book Life Lessons from a Brain Surgeon, and the author is Rahul Jandial. And the thought and the quote that I wanted to share with you is: creativity comes from sleeping, from dreaming, walking outside, and even just goofing around, having fun. So don't be afraid to give your brain a break and watch your creativity take off as you mix the moments of concentration, focus, and productivity with the moments of leisure. The more we pay attention to these kind of spaces, the easier our mental energy is going to be more replenished. The fact that cognitive ability is not simply determined by our genes is great news, because we have that plasticity to create new connections, new rewiring of our systems, and we can use our brain to train it in spaces of increments so that we can produce much more when we want to, if we allow these kind of spaces. It's just like a racing car. All of the racing cars need to get into the pit stop so that they can change the wheels, check the engine, or check anything that is not working as it's supposed to be, so that they can produce the maximum speed and finally end the race. It is the same with your brain. Every day you have a race, and every day you need to get to the pit stops, to the leisure time, to the relaxing time, to nature, to having exercise in your life, to sleeping the amount of time that you really need, and taking care of your brain by detoxifying. A study that was published in 2013 from the Journal of Memory and Cognition found that when asked to a list of all the animals to a person or to a group of persons, the more intelligent participants, according to their IQ tested, were capable of listing more animals than the less intelligent only because they could think of more categories of animals. So what does this mean? It means that the more we categorize the things that we have in our life, the more separation that we give to the things that we want to remember, the easier our brain is going to remember all of those things. This is a way to improve your memory. When these researchers provided the list of categories to all the participants in the groups, so they gave them all the categories of animals, the less intelligent, according to the IQ, superseded the more intelligent people. So we can improve our brains, we can improve the IQ, we can improve the cognitive skills, we can rewire the connections, and we can create more memory and cognition to learn, trying to give in categories. For example, if you are doing a list of your groceries, try to put them in categories so that you remember more just 5 or 6 categories instead of remembering 10 or 20 items. So by placing in categories, you will remember, oh, I have to buy something for the bathroom. So bathroom is the category, and in that category you can put 3 or 4 items, and that's gonna be easier for your memory to remember them. In this also book that they studied their brain of patients, the Broca and the Wernicke's areas that are known and they are understood as the general seats of language in the brain, scientists discovered that the exact location of the language is unique for every individual. So we don't have the same place for the language that we are learning. And the more languages that we learn, the more bilingual or trilingual or any kind of number of languages you learn, the easier your brain is going to connect things in order to learn anything that you want easily. So brain power, cognitive skills can be expanded at any point in time. And it is also been proved that the more you stimulate your brain, learning a different language, learning to play a new instrument, learning a new skill, the more you delay any kind of onset of many of the chronic diseases in terms of the mental health, which is Parkinson, Alzheimer, dementia, all of those. What scientists also have proven is that sleep is a very important activity for your brain. It is the time that your brain takes to flush all of the toxins from the brain, and also to make the connections between the short-term memory and the long-term memory. So in a study that they also perform for students that sleep their 6 to 8 hours before a test improve their grades more than the students that didn't sleep and were studying all night long. So that is just a simple technique that you can apply if you are still in school, or if you are trying to learn something or to finish a project. Don't overdo it in the night. Don't force yourself into the energy that your brain needs to replenish. Better go to bed early and get up at 5 or 4 a.m. In that way, you will finish the project and you will do it much better than if you take it all night long to do it. So these are just simple techniques that can improve your memory, your cognitions, your learning skill, and of course, to boost your creativity. The more we force ourselves into doing something in the moment that our body and our brain are telling us that it is not the best moment, the worst the end result will be. And sleep is a very important activity. As I mentioned, school children between 6 and 13 years need to sleep 9 to 11 hours. That's the average that they should sleep. Why so much? Because their brains are still in development, and because the connections and many of the younger neurons are forming those spaces and those um, synapses that they need in order to remember the things. That's why we have so much problems with many children nowadays in terms of the distraction, in terms of these categories that were invented to medicate them, such as ADHD. All of those things are just symptoms that children are not sleeping well. And why? What is the main reason that they are not sleeping well? Because they have too much screen time. So if in the night they are watching too much screens, whether it is TV, the cell phone or tablets, they are not going to sleep well and their brain is not going to recover. That blue light is permeating their eyes and it is being absorbed in their systems. So all of the hormones and neurotransmitters are not being released in the proper way. So allow your children to have time to get out of the screens and take the good amount of sleep. And for adults between 26 and 64 years, the recommended time is 7 to 9 hours. That depends, of course, on your activities, and you can feel it that also. The moment you get up, the moment you start waking up, you feel how did you sleep. If you feel tired, that means that your sleep was not good enough. That means that you need either more time or you need to sleep earlier. Start searching for your better timing to sleep and start adjusting your times. This was also a topic for the last episode in my podcast that you can find in this page. So I hope that I helped you with these tips to boost creativity, to empower your brain, to use this plasticity to rewire our neural systems, and to have grace and patience with your body, because it is completely normal that everyone is suffering from this mental exhaustion because we have too much stimuli and we have been under conditions that are not normal. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for being connected, La Morla, and all the others that were connected. Have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll see you next week. Bye.